Welcome back, everybody, for another Mindset Rebuild Deep Dive.
And I'm excited to be here.
For those of you who haven't joined us before, I'm Alan.
And I'm Rebecca.
And Mindset Rebuild is all about helping, busy creators and business owners beat stress and find balance.
Yes.
With simple ways to calm the mind.
Absolutely.
If that sounds like something you need in your life, you can subscribe to our newsletter at mindsetrebuild.substack.com.
Definitely.
Now, today we're going deep on a topic that I think a lot of you struggle with, productivity.
Yes.
Specifically, we're going to unpack why those popular productivity hacks often backfire.
Right.
And explore a new approach called mindset-first productivity.
I think a lot of people have tried all the hacks,
Well, yeah.
and they're still feeling stressed.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen into that trap myself.
Yeah.
I've tried everything, time blocking, to-do lists, the Pomodoro technique, all of it.
Yep.
But instead of feeling that, Zen-like focus, I just ended up feeling more overwhelmed.
Well, and it's like, the idea that we can force ourselves to be productive is where a lot of these hacks come from. It's like trying to squeeze more juice out of an orange. But creativity, it doesn't really work that way.
No, it doesn't. It's not a linear process. You can't just, force it to happen.
Exactly. It's fluid. It's dynamic.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest flaws with these conventional productivity systems. They try to impose this rigid structure on something that's, it needs to be flexible.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly.
You're just creating friction and burnout.
Yeah, and that's when the self-blame kicks in, right? Like, why can't I make this work? What's wrong with me?
Right.
It just adds more pressure when what we really need is support and understanding.
We need a system that works with us, not against us.
So this is where mindset-first productivity comes in.
Yes.
It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things in a way that aligns with you.
I like to think of it as shifting from a doing mindset to a being mindset.
Okay.
Instead of forcing ourselves to do more, we focus on who we want to be and how we want to feel.
So aligning our actions with our values and energy, rather than blindly following some external system.
Exactly. And it starts by rethinking our relationship with time.
I think a lot of people feel like they just don't have enough time.
Of course. But the truth is, we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
Right.
The difference is how we choose to use that time.
So instead of trying to create more time, which is impossible,
Right.
it's about using the time we have more intentionally.
Yes. And a great way to do that is by focusing on high leverage activities.
Okay, so what are high leverage activities?
What's the one thing you can do today that would make the biggest impact on your overall goals?
So it's about prioritizing the tasks that will move the needle the most.
Exactly. Instead of getting bogged down in endless to-do lists,
Right.
ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now that will make everything else easier or unnecessary?
That's a powerful question.
It is.
It really forces you to focus.
Yeah.
How does energy management fit into this picture? Because I know a lot of creatives struggle with fluctuating energy levels.
Time is finite,
Yeah.
but energy is something we can cultivate and manage.
Okay.
And mindset-first productivity recognizes that.
Okay.
So instead of trying to power through when we're feeling drained,
Yeah.
we learn to work with our natural energy rhythms.
So paying attention to when we're most alert and creative and scheduling our most demanding tasks for those peak energy windows.
Exactly. And then saving those low energy tasks for when we're in a slump.
So working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
I like that.
Good.
But what about those times when I need to be creative, but the inspiration just isn't there?
That's where it gets interesting because mindset-first productivity embraces something that most traditional systems try to eliminate.
What's that?
Chaos.
Chaos.
Yes.
Isn't that like the enemy of productivity?
Not necessarily. Creativity thrives on novelty and unexpected connections. And sometimes those aha moments come when we least expect them, when we allow ourselves to step outside of our rigid schedules and routines.
So you mean like when I'm supposed to be working on a project, but I end up doodling in my notebook and suddenly a brilliant idea pops into my head?
Exactly. Those seemingly random sparks of insight can lead to our greatest breakthroughs.
Interesting.
But they're only possible when we create space for them to emerge.
So instead of trying to eliminate those moments of chaos, we should actually be building them into our schedules.
Yes, intentionally create what we call white space in your day.
Okay.
Time with no predefined purpose. Let your mind wander, reflect, daydream, experiment.
So giving ourselves permission to just be without the pressure of having to do it.
Exactly.
I can see how that could be incredibly powerful for sparking creativity.
It is.
But what about when we hit a wall? when burnout threatens to take over.
That's where proactive recovery comes in.
Okay.
In the traditional productivity world, recovery is often seen as an afterthought. But with mindset-first productivity, it's a core strategy.
Interesting.
We don't wait till we're running on fumes to take a break.
So we schedule breaks with the same importance as meetings and deadlines.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that rest and rejuvenation are essential for sustained productivity and creativity.
So it's not about pushing ourselves to the limit.
No.
It's about finding a sustainable pace that allows us to thrive in the long run.
Exactly.
Right.
To illustrate how this approach can work in real life,
Yeah.
we have some inspiring stories to share.
Stories that prove that this isn't just some abstract theory.
Yeah.
It's about real people transforming their lives.
Exactly. First up, we have Maria, an artist who discovered the power of embracing what she calls structured chaos.
Structured chaos. Okay.
Yeah.
So Maria, an artist, discovered the power of structured chaos. What does that mean for her creative process?
Well, she found that the traditional productivity hacks were actually stifling her creativity,
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Trying to stick to a rigid schedule just didn't work for her. So she decided to experiment with a more flexible approach.
Okay.
And she started by setting aside a specific time each day for what she called creative exploration.
So what did that look like in practice? Did she have like a set plan for those sessions?
No, not at all. The whole point was to embrace the unknown.
Okay.
She might start by sketching or playing with colors or just letting her mind wander. She didn't judge or censor her ideas at this stage.
Right.
She just let them flow.
So kind of like a brainstorming session with herself, but without any rules or expectations.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that she found that most of what she created during these sessions wasn't actually good in the traditional sense.
Interesting.
But it didn't matter.
Because it was about the process, not the product.
Yes, exactly. It was about priming the pump, so to speak.
Okay.
And she found that by consistently showing up for these sessions, even when she didn't feel inspired, she started to tap into a deeper well of creativity.
It's like she was training her creative muscles.
That's a great analogy, and the key was that she didn't force it.
Right.
She didn't beat herself up if she didn't produce a masterpiece every time.
Yeah.
She trusted that the inspiration would come if she created the space for it.
So letting go of the need to control everything and embracing the uncertainty of the creative process?
Absolutely. And the results speak for themselves. Maria found that not only was she creating more work, but the quality of her work also improved dramatically.
So structured chaos actually led to more productivity and better results.
Yes, it did.
That's amazing. Now, I'm curious to hear about Liam, the startup founder who was struggling with burnout. You mentioned that he started experimenting with reset days. What did that look like for him?
Well, Liam was the classic example of someone who was always on.
Yeah.
Constantly checking emails, taking calls, working late into the night.
Right.
He thought that was the only way to succeed.
And I'm guessing that approach wasn't sustainable in the long run.
It wasn't. He was running himself ragged.
Yeah.
He was exhausted, stressed, and starting to lose his passion for his work.
Oh, wow.
And that's when he realized he needed to make a change.
Okay.
So he decided to experiment with taking one day a week completely off.
Completely off, no work at all.
Yes.
That must have been a difficult adjustment for someone who was so used to being constantly on.
It was, in fact. At first, he felt incredibly guilty.
Really?
He thought he was being lazy or irresponsible.
Wow.
But he committed to the experiment, and he soon discovered something surprising.
Okay, what was that?
He found that by giving himself that time to rest and recharge, he actually came back to his work feeling more energized and focused.
Interesting.
He was able to think more clearly, make better decisions, and come up with more creative solutions.
So by taking a step back, he was actually able to move forward more effectively.
Exactly, and the results were undeniable.
Okay.
Not only did his own well-being improve,
Yeah.
but his business also benefited.
How so?
He was more productive, more creative, and more effective as a leader.
It's amazing how counterintuitive that can be, right? We think that the only way to get ahead is to work harder and longer.
Right.
But sometimes the best thing we can do is to step away and give ourselves a break.
Absolutely. And that brings us to Tanya, the life coach who is helping her clients break free from those generic productivity traps.
Okay, I'm interested to hear how she approached this with her clients. Did she have a specific framework or process that she used?
Well, Tanya recognized that everyone is different, and what works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
So instead of offering cookie-cutter solutions,
Yeah.
she encouraged her clients to develop a deep understanding of their own unique needs and preferences.
So it was about helping them create a personalized productivity system
Yes,
that aligned with their own individual rhythms and work styles.
exactly. She had them explore questions like, when do I feel most energized? What kind of environment helps me focus? What are my biggest distractions?
So it was about getting to know themselves better, both as individuals and as workers.
Precisely. And one of her clients, let's call her Sarah,
Ah.
had a real aha moment during this process.
Oh, really?
She realized that she was trying to force herself to work in a way that just didn't feel natural to her.
In what way?
Well, Sarah had always been a night owl,
Okay.
but she was trying to fit into the traditional 9 to 5 workday. She was dragging herself out of bed every morning feeling groggy and uninspired.
It's like she was fighting against her own natural rhythm.
Exactly. So Tanya encouraged her to experiment with shifting her work schedule
Yeah.
to better align with her energy patterns.
So she started working later in the day and into the evening.
Yes, when she felt most alert and creative.
And what happened? Did it make a difference?
It was a game changer.
Wow.
Sarah found that she was not only more productive,
Uh-huh.
but she also enjoyed her work more.
That's great.
She felt more energized, more engaged, and more fulfilled.
That's fantastic.
It was like she had finally found a way to work that felt authentic to her.
I love how Tanya helped her client find a system that truly worked for her, rather than trying to force her into a mold that didn't fit.
That's the beauty of mindset-first productivity.
Yeah.
It's about honoring our individuality and creating a system that supports our unique needs and goals.
Okay.
And speaking of practical strategies, let's dive into some specific techniques that can help you apply these principles to your own life.
Okay, let's get practical.
Yeah.
I'm eager to hear what kind of unconventional strategies you have up your sleeve. We've heard some inspiring stories about people successfully implementing mindset-first productivity principles.
Yes.
Now let's get down to brass tacks. Give us some practical strategies our listeners can start using today.
Okay, one of the most powerful techniques is something called an identity audit.
Identity audit.
Yes. It's about taking a step back and really examining your beliefs about productivity.
Okay, so like questioning those ingrained assumptions we have about what it means to be productive.
Exactly. We often absorb these messages from society, our families, even our past experiences, and they can hold us back.
Right.
An identity audit is about asking, am I trying to be productive in a way that's truly authentic to me? Or am I just trying to live up to someone else's expectations?
That's a great question. I know I've definitely fallen into the trap of, comparing myself to others
Right.
and feeling like I need to be doing things a certain way in order to be considered successful.
It's so easy to do that, especially in today's world,
Yeah.
But the truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
So how do we go about conducting an identity audit? What are some questions we can ask ourselves?
Start by reflecting on your values and priorities. Ask yourself, what is truly important to me? What kind of work do I find most fulfilling? How do I want to feel at the end of the day?
So it's about getting clear on what matters most to us,
Yes,
both personally and professionally.
exactly. And once you have a better understanding of your core values, you can start to align your actions accordingly. Okay, that makes sense. I know another area where a lot of people struggle is with decision fatigue.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, I feel like I've made a million tiny decisions,
Yeah.
and my brain is fried.
Decision fatigue is real,
Yeah,
and it can drain our energy and productivity.
big time.
One strategy that can help is the one decision rule.
Okay,
Eliminate unnecessary decisions.
I like it. Tell me more.
Think about the things you do every day that require multiple decisions,
Okay.
like what to wear, what to eat, what route to take to work,
Right.
and try to simplify these routines by making one decision that will cover multiple instances.
Okay, so for example, instead of agonizing over my outfit every morning,
Yes.
I could create a capsule wardrobe with just a few go-to outfits that I know I feel good in.
Exactly. Or plan your meals for the week ahead of time.
Mhm.
So you don't have to make that decision every day.
Right.
Automate as many of those small decisions as possible.
Yeah,
So you can free up mental energy for the things that really matter.
brilliant tip. I'm definitely going to try that. Now, what about perfectionism?
Oh, yes.
A lot of us creatives tend to be perfectionists,
Mm-hmm.
and that can really get in the way of actually getting things done.
Perfectionism is a sneaky productivity killer.
It really is.
We get so caught up in trying to make everything perfect that we end up procrastinating or never finishing anything at all.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's so important to cultivate a done-for-now mindset.
So instead of aiming for perfection, we aim for progress.
Precisely done is better than perfect.
Love it.
Ask yourself, is this good enough to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
Can I come back and refine it later?
Right.
Don't let perfectionism become a roadblock to progress.
Great reminder. Sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission to let go of that need for everything to be flawless.
Yes.
Okay, what about when we're feeling drained and uninspired? Any tips for getting our energy back up?
Micro-recovery.
Micro-recovery.
Yes. These are small, intentional breaks that you sprinkle throughout your day to help you stay energized and focused.
So not just waiting until the end of the day to collapse on the couch, but incorporating little moments of rejuvenation throughout the day.
Exactly. It could be something as simple as taking a few minutes to step outside and get some fresh air, doing a quick stretching routine, or listening to a calming piece of music.
Those are great ideas. Even just taking a few minutes to close my eyes and breathe deeply can make a huge difference.
It really can. These micro-recovery moments are especially important when you're feeling stuck or creatively blocked.
Yeah.
Sometimes just stepping away from your work for a few minutes can help you come back with a fresh perspective.
Like hitting the reset button on your brain.
Exactly. Now, another powerful strategy that we haven't talked about yet is the idea of setting intentions rather than outcomes.
Okay.
This is about shifting your focus from what you want to achieve to how you want to feel.
So instead of saying, I want to write 5,000 words today, I might say, I want to feel focused and inspired while I'm writing.
Precisely, when you set intentions, you create a more flexible and adaptable framework for your day. It allows you to flow with the natural ebbs and flows of your energy and creativity rather than getting attached to rigid outcomes.
I think sometimes we get so caught up in the results that we forget to enjoy the process.
Exactly. And when you're focused on how you want to feel,
Yeah.
you're more likely to find joy and satisfaction in your work.
Regardless of the outcome.
Regardless of the outcome.
That's a beautiful way to approach productivity. It's not just about getting things done. It's about creating a life that feels good on the inside and produces amazing results on the outside.
Absolutely. And speaking of creating a life that feels good, one final strategy I want to share is the idea of pre-creativity rituals.
Pre-creativity rituals. Tell me more.
It's all about setting the stage for creative work.
Oh.
Just like an athlete has a pre-game routine to get their mind and body ready for competition, you can create a pre-creativity ritual to signal to your brain that it's time to shift into creative mode.
Okay, so what kind of rituals are we talking about here?
It could be anything that helps you feel grounded, focused, and inspired. Maybe it's lighting a candle, putting on some music, making a cup of tea, or doing a short meditation.
I love that it's like creating a sacred space for your creative work.
Exactly. Over time, these rituals become powerful anchors that help you access that flow state more easily.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the flaws of traditional productivity hacks
Yes.
to the core principles of mindset-first productivity. What's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
True productivity is not about doing more. It's about aligning your actions with your values, energy, and goals. It's about finding a system that works for you, not against you.
Right.
And it's about creating a life that feels good on the inside and produces amazing results on the outside.
So if you're ready to ditch those generic hacks and build a productivity system that actually works for you, we encourage you to check out Mindset Rebuild.
Yes, we offer simple, practical strategies to help you calm the chaos, beat stress, and create a life that truly lights you up.
You can subscribe to our newsletter at mindsetrebuild.substack.com to get weekly tips and inspiration delivered straight to your inbox.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Until next time, stay aligned, stay energized, and keep creating.